Nigeria's governing political party, the All Progressives Congress, this week recorded its first electoral victory in Cross River State ever since Governor Ben Ayade defected from the main opposition People's Democratic Party last year. And that was after the by-election for the Ogoja-Yala federal constituency. What could this victory signify on a wider scale, especially with the fast approaching general election early next year? Well, joining us now to help bring some understanding to this matter is Alphonsus Eba, chairman of the Cross River State chapter of the APC, a former director general of the Cross River State Due Process Agency, and a self-acclaimed apostle of political evangelism. Welcome to the program, Mr. Eba. Good morning.
Good morning, not self-acclaimed. I am the first political evangelist. Good morning.
Good morning.
My pleasure to be here.
Thank you so much. Good morning, evangelist. So, on an evangelical note, tell us the significance of the election, the by-election in your state, which of course produced a candidate of the APC as the winner for the Yala, federal constituency. Even though by just 2,000 votes to defeat the PDP candidate, is this a new dawn for APC in Cross River State? Is this something that will shape the electoral pattern of the state? Tell us what happened and what's the significance of that victory.
Thank you very much. Let me thank you again for the opportunity to be here so that the world will hear about what has happened in Cross River State. On the 20th day of May, 2021, a new political order came on in Cross River State and is headed by the Grand Commander himself of the armless political revolutionary order, Senator Professor Barrister Ben Ayade. You would know that up till 20th day of May 2021, the general news is that Cross River State is 100% PDP. Yes, I will somehow agree with that postulation. But today, the last election has clearly come to say that the action the governor took on the 20th day of May remains the best. It has changed the political equation. In fact, what was at stake about this election for Ogoja-Yala federal constituency was that whichever party that wins, it was a referendum on the acceptability of the party that is in control of the state. And so to us, that is something so great. I had said before the election that if we do not win by Monday, I was going to resign. And I meant it by every word of mine. But I am grateful to God today, all thanks to the governor and members of our party. Don't just call it 2,188 margin. With the BFAS technology, the new order in election is something that rigging has been thrown into the abyss. So having 2,100 is something great. Don't forget, the governor of Sokoto State became a governor with just 300 vote margin. So 2,000 something is just too big for us, and we are so happy.
All right, Mr. Eba. So, I mean, of course, this is something to celebrate. I see you're in the celebratory, mood as well, as you rightfully should be. But this has also been contested by the PDP chairperson, who has said that, INEC officials compromised in favor of the APC.
Hello.
What would you make out of that? Did you get that question, Mr. Eba?
Can you hear us,
Can you
Mr.
hear
Eba?
us?
I can. Abe, I can hear you. Who's there? I can't hear the lady's voice clearly,
Okay.
but yeah, your voice is loud enough.
Did you get my question? Do you want me to take it again?
Be a bit audible.
Okay, Mr. Eba, I'm going to take the question again. I'm saying that, of course, you're in a celebratory mood about this, which is, very, we would accept that. But I also want to talk about the contention around it. The PDP chairman have come out, Vinicius have come out to say that, of course, this was compromised.
I can barely hear you. Can that question come from the male voice?
Okay,
please?
I'm going to have Steve take the question.
Okay, let me
on my mic.
Okay, let me ask Sister B there. And she's basically asking you, Mr. Eba, that of course you'll be celebrating, and that's understandable. But then she's asking, the PDP has also challenged the result, and they have said that they are studying the result and that they will make their position known. So if there is contention around this victory, do you think that this is something that will last, or this is something that you have to be worried about just in case that the PDP chooses to challenge the result?
I will answer you with an answer yes and no. First, let me say yes. I should be worried because this is a party that claims to have control of the entire judiciary. That is where my worries should come from. And today, don't forget, we have an occupant of the Cross River Northern Senatorial District in person of one Jarigbe Agom in clear violation of section 285(13) of the Constitution of the Federal Republic, in clear violation of section 141, 1 and 2 of the Electoral Act, in clear understanding of the judicial precedent that is clear that pre-election matters are not brought upon to decide tribunal matters. But today, we have one Jarigbe Agom sitting in the National Assembly in the upper chambers, and that has desecrated what would have been the image of that institution. So if you ask me that question, I should have a cause to say yes. But on a direct answer, they are really bad losers. It is such a shame that a candidate of a party that could not win in his own political ward of Igede will have the courage to say he's going to tribunal. I think the tribunals are there for us to go and prove our cases. We do not have any fear when it comes to the integrity of good judges that will be brought upon. And let me use this opportunity to call on the Chief Justice of Nigeria, the President of the Court of Appeal, that because of the sad test we had from the last election where one Justice Iheme Nwosu came and delivered a judgment that is unknown to law on the 31st day of July 2021, every Cross-Riverian today, led by my humble self sitting here, we are standing, we will not sleep. Any judgment that does not conform with the law, we will not take it. And this is to put the whole world on notice, because they will not just be saying they are going to tribunal in a beavers election that you can hardly rig an election. Like in our case in Akpabio, let me take this opportunity to explain. We are not challenging the voting pattern. The only thing we say we are challenging is that out of the 7 polling units that you did not conduct elections, 4 in 3 you conducted elections, we had about 480 something votes. The PDP thugs came and started shooting. You ran away and scampered for your life. But don't forget, under Beavers technology, every vote that has been recorded is already taken into the system of accreditation, and it has gone in after being taken care of. But why will you not collect that 400 and something votes? That is what we'll be going to tribunal to challenge. We have another 4 polling units that you did not do election at all. That amounted to 400 and something votes. If you aggregate all this, 1,800 and something votes that would have been in our favor were not collected. And the margin of 5,800 against our candidate of 5,300 and something just drop us the margin of about 500 and something. If our 1,700 and something votes were brought in, you would have seen that we would have won the election in Akpabio. But so far, so good. I am happy because there was no serious APC before we came on board. By what everybody used to say, Cross River State is PDP state. But today, that analysis does not stand again. That hyperfalutin theory has now been lobotomized.
All right, Mr. Eba. Well, I mean, tell us a bit more about the import of this. This was the first election, very first, after President Muhammadu Buhari signed the Electoral Amendment Bill into law. And then you have tested the beavers, yet again. Yes, we had a bit of it at the Anambra elections, but of course you have tested it. Maybe on a smaller scale, 22,000 plus to 20,000 plus of the PDP. Not too huge for, a major election, but then it's an example of what to expect. So tell us the significance. And secondly, what precisely is the deal for Cross Riverians in APC? Is this just about Governor Ben Ayade crossing over to the ruling party because he's looking for something to gain? Or is there a reason why you think that all the other federal constituencies, all the constituencies generally in Cross River State, should feel like APC has truly arrived in their state?
The saying that every politics is local is clearly exemplified in Cross River State. The politics of Cross River State over time from 1999 has been, we follow the decision of government house directives. Governor has said, governor has directed, And that is how we go. When Governor Donald Duke was there, whatever he pronounces becomes law. When Governor Leah Limoke was there, whatever he pronounces becomes law. So the moment Governor Ayade say, let us socket to the center, that in fact, for a man himself who was a grand commander and had carried much more than any of his predecessors has carried, we did not just wait for him to even declare on that day. If you had followed what happened from May through June and July, you would have seen a number of defections that took place. Everybody emptied from PDP into APC. And that is a reflection of what you have seen. This new technology of having your voter's card remains the best instrument for you to win election. And that is what we have tested. I must commend Mr. President, President Muhammadu Buhari, for assenting to this bill. In fact, if there is anything that Mr. President will be remembered for, which I am so grateful again, in addition to all that he has done, is assenting to this bill. And I must commend INEC under the leadership of Professor Mahmoud and all the representatives he said, the national commissioner that came, Mr. Festus Okoye, and all INEC staff. I must commend them for standing through. The police, the security agencies, thank God for their sleepless night, marching and policing all the votes that came out. For instance, in my own polling unit, I have 670-something registered members. The total number of persons that came out were about 400 to 500. Those that had their PVCs on ground were less than 300. And I turned around to ask the other people that have not voted. They told me that their voters' card are missing, but they can find their name in the list that was published. I said, no, things have changed. If you don't have your PVC now, you cannot vote. You know, these people in PDP were thinking of that their old way of rigging election. I was there before, so I know what they do. But they did not know that when I came on board and talked about political evangelism, I was moving from door to door. I started that on the first day of December. I have not rested up till the day of this election. And so when you say that he is a false acclaim, no. God brought me on board to do this. And from what we have seen, the lacrimos in PDP is going to get worse as the day runs by, because we are now sitting again to recalibrate what has happened, to check what has been done. In all, even while I give ourselves 70% performance, I want us to get about 100%. And I have charged everybody. Don't forget, Governor Ben Ayade has established administrative order in every polling unit, where you have about 10 persons there, where you have about 5 persons from the local government drawing revenue from the state, where you have over 7,000 state appointees scattered in the 3,281 polling units. And so, for the Ogoja Yala, where we have 297 polling units, and in Akpabi, where we have 129 polling units, we had presence of nothing less than about 20 persons in every political unit. So, our victory was like something we had foretold that was going to come. That is why we can point to every polling unit now where we have issues. The PDP was not present in most of the polling units. They do not exist. Those that used to be there have all emptied into the APC. Again, the Beavers technology is a great innovation, and I commend Mr. President.
All right, Mr. Eba, let me try to take a question and see if you can hear me clearly on this one. You talk about the concept of political evangelism, which is, very refreshing to hear. Let's talk about the new horizon we can see right now. What would you expect average Cross Riverians to expect to see in this new dispensation that is ahead of them? I'm not sure if you got that question.
Your colleague, it will be better.
Unfortunately, it doesn't work like that, but I'm going to have Steve repeat the question, please. We must have some technical issues in the studio.
Yeah. Well, okay. I mean, Mr. Eba, again, let me also trumpet Abby's question. She's basically asking, what is the deal for Cross Riverians, in all this? And I think I should also add to that, where does this take your state? There are 6 states in the South-South. Cross River is the only APC state with an APC governor at the moment. Edo used to be APC, but it's no longer APC. So with this by-election that has produced a federal lawmaker for APC, what do we have ahead? How are you approaching the 2023 elections? You said yourself as the chairman of the party that you will resign if you didn't win. So what will you do for the 2023 elections, which the primaries are almost here. By June, you will have to produce a candidate. So what's the deal within APC for Cross River State? That's what Abi is asking, and that's also what I'm also, emphasizing, so that you can talk to us about it.
The PDP in Cross River State, let me take it from that angle so that you understand what we want to do in APC.
Yeah.
The PDP in Cross River State is factionalized. You have the dollar for dollar people, you have the politically weakened group, you have the naira for naira group, you have the innocent and confused set of people based on the various aspirations of people that are there in that state. But in APC, we have a united body commanded by the governor of Cross River State, an armless commander in this case. What we do is that we sit down as a family to take a decision. Don't forget, the governor had, before today, called on every interest for us to sit down and meet and to give a direction of what things will be. Every member of the APC in Cross River State have so surrendered their powers to the decision of the governor. And the governor have said, whatever I will decide is going to be managed by the party. And what the party is trying to do is to be fair to all, allow every interest to come on board, so that by the time we aggregate all these things, we'll come out and have a consensus candidate. That is what we did to achieve the emergence of our candidates in the previous election. 8 persons came to run election from the Akpabio State constituency. We narrowed down to the final one without going to any hot contest. In Ogoja Yala Federal constituency, another 8 came out. We narrowed down to the final one. Even the man that was the last standing became the chairman of the campaign organization. And his second runner-up became the deputy DG of the campaign organization, because everybody saw the transparency, saw the sincerity, that we wanted to win for the party, not for an individual. But that is not the case in PDP. We know them. They will never come together. Only for the purpose of this election, they came out and deceived themselves and said they were united. But they are now back to the trenches, and they are fighting themselves while we are united. And so the deal for us is that we are going to win 2023. We have socketed to the center. We have told the world that we are prepared. And the 2 litmus tests we have gone into, the result is excellent.
All right, Mr. Eba, before we let you go, just a quick one. The convention of your party is coming up on the 26th of this month. What role will you be playing as a party, as delegates from across River State? And do we have any ray of hope for your governor, playing any, thinking of anything at the federal at this time? I know that the party has, more or less zoned the candidacy to the south. We do not know yet if it will be the southeast or southwest or south-south, even though a lot of people are making a strong case for the southeast. How do you think that you from Cross Rivers will approach the convention, and what are your thoughts regarding the candidate that will win, or that will likely win for APC at the federal?
Let me again say this, I have said it repeatedly, that Nigerians should be looking at the direction of Senator Professor Ben Ayade. And the reasons for this are very clear. I do not just speak, I speak with empirical facts. We are talking about a governor that came on board and was handed over liability of over 400 billion naira debts. But over time, he has been able to pay over 130 billion. Because these debts were acquired through irrevocable standing payment orders. We are talking about a governor that has been able to industrialize the state. And I take it from this level. If you go to Ogoja Yala today, you have a vitaminized rice mill standing, waiting to be commissioned by Mr. President. We have an automated block molding and concrete roof tiles standing in Yala. We have a 148 kilometers dual carriageway that spans across the entire 5 local governments in the Northern Senatorial District of Cross River State, of which about 80% has been completely asphalted. If you move from there, from Ogoja, and you enter Bekwara, we have a granite shilling machine factory already standing in Gakim in Bekwara. We have a vegetable oil factory standing in Inyanya in Bekwara. As you move from Bekwara into Obudu, you have an airport project that is ongoing that will most likely be commissioned before the end of this year, with complete runway earthwork completed, with the towers and the terminal building almost completed. Still in the same area, you have a big secondary hospital standing with state-of-the-art facilities in Obudu. You have the Canadian-styled medicine and law university standing in the same area. You have the meter factory still there. You have an improved, renovated Obudu cattle ranch today that has now returned back to its lost glorious day with an improvement that is so sweet. And today you have another project in Ikom, which is the cocoa processing factory with a 30,000 metric ton capacity. You move from there into Bubra, you have the cassava starch factory already standing, all awaiting commissioning. You move to Yaka, you have the toothpick factory already in use called the Paradise Toothpick. You move into Akang, into Biase, you have the Teachers Training College, Continuous Teachers Training College, the first of its kind, the best to find anywhere in Nigeria. You move into Akampa, you have the piles and pylon factory. You move into Dupani today, you have the poultry.
Mr. Eba,
no, let me keep mentioning.
No,
we're unfortunately out of time. I know there's a lot that you would have to highlight, but unfortunately we cannot accommodate it on this occasion. We want to thank you so much for your time, Mr. Eba.